Let's bring in to discuss Sky News contributor Kosha Gada. Kosha, this would be incredible, but and another thing she mentioned was the client list of Jeffrey Epstein. So you think there's going to be heavy backlash to this? Perhaps some agencies like the CIA might oppose it as well. But I'm all for it. What do you reckon?
Yes, there will certainly be backlash for it, as there are with all these things that Trump is trying and the promises he made in the campaign that he's attempting to fulfill. And the big picture here, the reason why this is so important is the D-class system, or the classification system, is really broken. And many people have felt this for a long time in America, where, number one, all sorts of things remain classified and shrouded under cloak and dagger mystery for years and decades after they happened, even though they do serve great public interest. And on the other side, there's all sorts of people who get access to classified materials, even if they don't really have a need to know. And you see this with people who've stepped out of public office or who are retired and all of that. And the outcome of this is that it's just leading to more and more distrust in institutions, which we know are at an all-time low right now. So this is one measure in that, where Trump does have the power to declassify. It is unilaterally presidential power in our system, so he's done that. And what Anna Paulina Luna is doing is, from the congressional side, there's a role to play to further disseminate it, codify that. And it'll be interesting to see what these things are. The Epstein list in particular is going to get a lot of pushback because there are some very high-profile names, as we know, and expect to be involved in there. So we shall see how quickly they get this done.
I mean, you think of something like JFK's assassination and you think, after all this time, what is the reason not to make public the intelligence? You know, there's just, same with UFOs. Why shouldn't the public know what intelligence the American government has on it? And it's probably about time some of that was released and there was transparency around it. I also want to talk to you, Kosha, about President J.D. Vance's controversial speech to the European leaders on the weekend. Have a look.
The threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within, the retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values, values shared with the United States of America. In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat.
Yes, so Kosha, this went down very badly with the European leaders.
It sure did. He was very blunt and is again speaking from the pulpit of what the Trump administration is all about and what his entire political career really for the last decade has been about, which is, first of all, cutting back on this premise that 75 years after World War II, the U.S. still has to be a guarantor of security to the level that it is around the world. That has been an orthodoxy shared by both parties across the Atlantic for a very long time. So shattering that will not be easy, but that is his view. And then secondly, this principle that if we are allies, as we are, and we do share in this alliance to defend democracy, which has become sort of a catchphrase almost, what is it that we're actually defending when there are threats to free speech, when there is so much migration was another topic he touched on, so on and so forth. So he was laying that bare in a friendly way, but I would say in a very blunt, constructive criticism way. And so it's not surprising that the leaders didn't like it, but the people, I think, probably do see some common cause in what he's talking about.
Yeah, well, the leaders certainly didn't think it was a friendly manner at all. They sat there shocked and tweeting right the way through his speech. I know, just very quickly, Hamas released 3 hostages on the weekend. Not all of the remaining captives, despite President Trump ordering them to do so. Now, what happens now, Kosha, because we've got 30 seconds, but basically Trump has said he'll support Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu if he does want to go back into Gaza. 20 seconds. Yes, I think he will do that and sort of allow President Netanyahu to defend his sovereignty. And I think, he might always throw in some interesting jives to keep them on their feet until the story is ended. Yeah. But the question is, of course, whether it's the right time for Netanyahu to do so, because out of the 73 remaining hostages, Israel believes around 33 are still alive. So perhaps they'd want to get those living hostages out before they go back into Gaza and kill the rest of the Hamas terrorists. All right, Kosha Gada, appreciate your time.